2 News begins now.
It's been a busy week for news across the inland Northwest. Let's get you caught up with the KREM 2 News Week in Review. I'm Tim Pham. Thanks for joining us here on KREM 2 Plus. Here now is a look at some of the biggest stories from this past week.
We have been at Lake Pend Oreille and Sandpoint all day trying to uncover this tragic accident. Now, we did find out the student's name is Charlie Miller, and he was a senior at Lake Pend Oreille High School. He was immediately sent after the incident to Sacred Heart Medical Center in Spokane. We still don't know exactly when Miller passed away, but he did not survive his injuries. When administrators were notified this morning, the school district sent out crisis counselors and a therapy dog to its classrooms. The school only has about 90 students, so the tight-knit group is feeling the weight of its heavy loss.
Charlie was a great young man. He was very, very kind, always willing to support anybody and have kind words for everybody. If you met Charlie, you were automatically taken back by his just presence that he had.
The principal commends his staff and superintendent for urgently responding to the needs of his students. Many students went home to their families after receiving the news, and the students that remained on campus did not have regular class schedule. Now, the principal encourages that if you want to support the Miller family, you can go ahead and contact directly Lake Pend Oreille High School to send any support. As of right now, we have not heard if the family is doing any type of memorial service, so we will keep you all posted. We have been here in Bonner County all day long. Regan Gallo with KREM 2 News.
I'm in North Spokane, where this downed tree has just left a mess in the backyard of these homeowners. They tell me they did lose power overnight. They're just one of thousands of Avista customers who did lose power due to the storm. Now, this was the first major storm under Avista's new public safety power shutoff plan, and they say things went as well as they could have. Wind and dust ripped through the inland Northwest, causing downed trees and power lines. Some sparked fires, like this one on Spokane South Hill. Here, neighbors jumped in to stomp out the fire. There was no damage to the nearby homes, but the iconic giant skeleton who peers over this fence on South-Southeast Boulevard is no more. On the night of the storm, Avista elevated 3 of its circuits up to extreme fire safety mode. That means there would not be an attempt to close the circuit right away or restore power. 3 of those included 2 in Northwest Spokane and 1 in West Clarkston. 1 in Northwest Spokane did have an outage, which required manual inspection of the lines before restoring power.
So if you were a customer in one of those 3 elevated circuits that were in extreme fire safety mode, what you would have experienced is a little bit longer outage while our crews potentially patrolled and removed any unsafe conditions.
Avista's Director of Electrical Engineering and Program Director of Wildfire Resiliency says it took a couple hours to manually patrol the line before restoring power to those customers.
It took out all the wires along 3 poles.
Customers like Carolyn Hughes lost power during the storm when her neighbor's tree fell into her backyard. The tree missed their shed but landed on their roof. Tonight, though, she is grateful.
It could have been so much worse. I mean, it could have taken off the side of the house. It could take out a load-bearing wall. I mean, we're good. We're good.
Now, this North Spokane family did lose power because of the storm and the downed lines in the area. But earlier this evening, power did come back on. Reporting in North Spokane, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
They're planting their stakes in the ground again.
So we sent all of our kids home, and then the rest of us just sat and watched the weather roll through and do whatever it wanted to do to our tents.
Owner of Seamers Farm, Bert Westover, hasn't seen a windstorm as large as this week's since he bought the farm in 2020. Tent after tent flew through the air from the dust storm, with winds blowing them harder than Westover or anyone with the farm expected.
The wind was so powerful, it not only knocked the stakes out of the ground, but in some cases bent them so far they snapped in half. Now, thankfully, nobody was hurt, but owners tell me that the wind caused their harvest festival to be cut short.
We still don't know if we're going to be open for the weekend. We're making good progress.
Westover is optimistic the Harvest Festival will be open on Saturday, taking the extra time to repair every tent for every vendor so folks can enjoy a fall tradition beloved in the Green Bluff community for more than 50 years, emphasizing how the setback isn't the only one farmers are facing in the community.
Each farm is going to be affected whether they're open or not this weekend.
Doing whatever they can to prevent it, knowing how strong the winds can get.
You can see that, hear that guy pounding that into the ground. I mean, it's down there. This was just a freak wind that just took it out.
In Green Bluff, Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
The rolling hills of the Palouse are ablaze with color this fall day, but not the reds and oranges you hope to see. This is being called the Long Hollow Fire, burning along the Snake River near the Port of Almota and the Lower Granite Dam. State fire assistance has been mobilized, and they're fighting it from the air as this fire grew quickly overnight.
Fast-moving fuel down there.
Whitman County Emergency Management says the fire was sparked by lightning during Wednesday's storm, which brought 50-mile-an-hour winds to this area around 4 p.m. What the storm didn't bring, Sheriff Brett Meyer says, was rain to the spot where the fire started.
They didn't get a single drop, and instead they got 45 and 50-mile-an-hour winds with lightning, and that's a pretty rough combination.
That allowed it to quickly reach 4,000 acres as of last check, which is why state assistance was called in right away.
Just getting on that quick, recognizing that a fire that size we need help. We can get that air support in there much faster, and so that's really key and critical because it's difficult terrain. You can't just drive brush trucks in there and put 100 people on the ground and put a fire out in a situation like that.
Right now, those crews are holding the fire at its current size. No evacuations or structures are threatened.
The firefighters and the state MOB crews that are in there have stopped that forward progress.
But it is estimated it could take a day or two before the flames are out. Shannon Mowdy, KREM 2 News.
Fourth District Judge Stephen Hippler talked with both the prosecution and the defense about potential timelines for the trial start date as well as expectations for the trial. Now, what we know right now is that the original June start date is off the table. During this hearing, which was about 30 minutes long, Judge Hippler proposed changing the original trial start date of June 2nd to either start a month earlier in May or be pushed back until September, with the jurors' personal lives in mind.
Having it set to run the entire course of the summer, I think we will find to be difficult on jurors, in particular, jurors who may have children who are out of school, in terms of being able to spend time, go on vacations with them, etc.
Another concern the judge had with the original timeline would be the start of school in August and the complications that come with that. Kohberger's attorney Ann Taylor told a judge they expect to meet every deadline given to them except the deadline for one of their mitigation experts. Taylor made a note saying that the former expert they had died and that they are looking for another one to replace her at this time. Taylor requested that the former March deadline be pushed until the end of April. The prosecution argued that the end of April deadline wouldn't give them enough time to prepare if the state moved forward with the potential May start date. Now, after the hearing, Judge Hippler met with Taylor privately to discuss the current plan for replacing that mitigation expert, which would then influence the proposed start dates. As of right now, we do not know when the trial will start. The prosecution told Judge Hippler they would prefer the May start date, but the defense would prefer the September start date. The final decision will likely come down in a written order from the judge at a later time. We will continue to keep a close eye on this case and update you when we know more. Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Nearly a month after charges were officially filed against him, former Sergeant Clay Hilton quietly entered pleas Wednesday.
Second-degree assault, how do you plead? And count 2, false swearing, how do you plead?
2 charges stemming from this incident in August 2023.
Treat me like that.
Hilton's charged with assaulting Kevin Hinton during an arrest for parking outside Spokane Valley's Terrace View Park after hours. He's also accused of intentionally disregarding Spokane Valley's code in trying to charge Hinton and misrepresenting the city's law in a sworn charging document and police report.
Let's face it, in this woke culture in which we are currently a part, officers are being charged with all kinds of things that they never would have been charged with 10 or 15 years ago.
Defense attorney Bryan Kohberger says this was a situation that got out of control, that he says began when Hinton failed to hand over his ID. Hinton, who was in the court gallery, declined to speak to KREM 2.
And there's other facts and circumstances in the case, like get your hand off me, or whatever it was that he said, and voicing resistance and physically showing resistance.
Kohberger pushed back in court, saying probable cause doesn't exist to even charge Hilton because he was acting within his duty as an officer. He argued that doesn't equal assault.
It does say my client punched him in the face. Well, you know what? Sometimes during the course of duty, that has to happen to gain compliance.
Our counsel might have his view of what happened. However, there is the affidavit by Sergeant Storment that clearly lays out in detail what happened here.
Charging documents show Hilton's repeated punching of Hinton was, quote, excessive and unnecessary.
I told you you're under arrest.
The state agreed Hilton will stay out of jail while the case proceeds. Kohberger says it's not uncommon.
My concern is that the public might think he's getting some favored treatment because he's a police officer. That's false. That's just false.
But Hilton was administratively booked.
And he's going to get fingerprinted. How humiliating. And he's going to have his booking photo taken.
He's due back in court in 2 months to determine if both sides are ready for trial.
U.S. District Court documents say Warren Jones' Crazy Bull made a call to the former president's Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida on July 31st, saying he was en route to kill him. Court documents say that on top of the close to 10 calls to the resort, Crazy Bull made several posts on Facebook under the name of Tracy Jones, including one of a self-produced video that also threatens Trump. Court documents say that he made the post in Idaho and was arrested a day later in Montana after agents interviewed him. He says that he was chief of the Rosebud tribe and is royalty. So I actually called the Rosebud Sioux tribe in South Dakota to confirm that while Crazy Bull is enrolled with them, the enrollment office says that he isn't and has never been a chief and is not royalty. Crazy Bull also told agents that he blames both Trump and John F. Kennedy Jr. for broken treaties that resulted in the loss of his land. In the interview, it says that Crazy Bull told agents that he has been admitted for psychiatric care in the past, but that he was not on any sort of medication at the time of the interview. Crazy Bull also told agents that he never intended to kill former President Trump, but rather that his posts were just meant to get law enforcement's attention. Regardless, Crazy Bull is now facing a federal charge of threats against a former president, which is punishable with a $250,000 fine and up to 5 years in prison. Crazy Bull is currently on a U.S. Marshal hold at the Kootenai County Jail, and his trial is scheduled to begin on October 28th. Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Weekend Review. I'm Tim Pham. Let's get back now to some of the biggest news stories from the Inland Northwest this past week.
Now, this all stems from the Pac-12 adding Boise State, Fresno State, Colorado State, and San Diego State. Now, when it comes to the money, according to the Associated Press, the Mountain West has exit fees of upwards of $17 million for departing schools. Those fees can increase depending on how much advance notice a school gives. In addition, the Mountain West put in poaching fees in their football scheduling agreement with both Oregon State and Washington State, since they're the only current Pac-12 members this season. The fee starts at $10 million. It then increases by an increment of $500,000 for every additional school the Pac-12 adds from the Mountain West. With 4 already on board, the total comes to $43 million. The lawsuit says the severe exit fees the Mountain West already has in place for their members would more than compensate the conference for member schools that leave. Instead, the Pac-12's lawsuit argues the Mountain West forced the struggling conference to agree to the poaching penalty, which they claim was, in part, quote, designed to limit the Pac-12's ability to compete with the MWC for years into the future. Mountain West Commissioner Gloria Nevarez made a statement about the suit, saying she's responsible for protecting her conference and the Pac-12's taking advantage of their willingness to help them. She also says, in part, quote, at no point in the contracting process did the Pac-12 contend that the agreement that it freely entered into violated any laws. To say that the Mountain West was taking advantage of the Pac-12 could not be farther from the truth. The Mountain West Conference wanted to help the Pac-12 schools and student athletes, but not at the expense of the Mountain West.
Well, for about an hour and a half, reducing homelessness was the key topic here in this morning's conversation. Anise Parker was the former mayor of Houston, Texas. She served from 2010 to 2016, and during her time in office, she created several initiatives for reducing homelessness. So today here at the Davenport Grand, she talked about those efforts in a room packed with Spokane city leaders, law enforcement, and more. Ultimately, the former Houston mayor was laying out a model that could potentially be used here in Spokane.
Shelters are not housing. Shelters are a temporary solution. You wouldn't want to be in a shelter. There's no privacy, there's no ability. You can't take your pets, you can't take your stuff. And if you have almost nothing, what you do have becomes very precious to you.
Last year, as a part of our Boomtown series, KREM 2 traveled to Houston to learn more about their efforts to reduce homelessness after former Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward said the city was looking into Houston to find solutions. Houston has permanently housed more than 30,000 individuals in the past 10 years. Officials there say it's because they prioritize placing people into permanent housing instead of a temporary fix. That move reduced homelessness in the city by more than 60%, according to a member of the Houston Mayor's administration focused on homeless initiatives. But for now, reporting here in downtown Spokane, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
Something is brewing.
Could I please have a sugar-free iced vanilla latte?
At the Bagpipers Bistro inside Shadle Park High School.
So it provides coffee. We do coffee, Lotus, chai lattes, Italian sodas.
But there's more perks than what's in the cup.
The skills it gives you can help you land a real job, you know? We got an Italian soda for Big Ed.
Yes, sir.
A recipe for success in more than one way.
Currently is providing that real on-the-job experience for students that take the store operations and management course through our marketing program.
What kind of milk would you like?
It's one of their learning labs. Students get real hands-on experience to apply what they're learning in the classroom.
Everything from getting their food handlers cards to making sure we're set there, understanding all the sanitation, safety and health, to learning how to pull a shot correctly, steam milk, and make the different coffee drinks.
See if there's any extra chocolate syrup, please.
They also take inventory, create new products, and come up with promotions like this one for National Coffee Day.
And so they're in charge of it all, and also then really working as a team to provide good customer service.
You have to be able to communicate very well, which is super important in a job. Huckleberry Italian soda for Taylor.
Thank you.
Working at the bistro is a daily grind, but well worth it. Everything they earn supports their DECA club, so they can compete at the state and national level.
I really hope they walk away with a combination of a set of 21st century skills that they can transfer to any career pathway that they choose to follow in the future.
Spokane is close enough to Canada if you ever need to leave.
I'm Jake Beal. I'm a realtor here in Spokane, and I do lots of goofy videos and dorky things about Spokane on my social media channels. I've been making goofy videos since high school.
Spokane, it's where you want to live if you want to be in a city and not in a city at the same time.
It started a couple years ago.
This guy, he came here for 3 months, couldn't take it, couldn't handle it. Spokane was too much, too fast.
Basically, I didn't want to have to spend all the research to to make real estate related videos that were like, here's today's interest rate. So it kind of came from more of like a, what can I do that's super lazy that didn't take as much time as some of the other realtors.
Spokane, where you're too Idaho for Seattle, but not Idaho enough for Idaho.
If I just double down on the Spokane humor, that would be a better direction for me.
It's fall in Spokane, time to drink pumpkin spice, time for construction to stop someday.
I want to relate with people and chat about things that we love and serve my community in a way that's like, hey, I want people to laugh and have a good time and enjoy where they live. My son had this idea for a superhero called Realtor Ninja, and I asked him like details about like, okay, what does Realtor Ninja do? And so he helped me kind of like develop like this superhero. I do intend on making this.
I believe in the North-South Freeway.
I'm Jake the Realtor. Send me a message.
There is a story behind each one of these logos on the wall at Chris Bovey's store and studio in Spokane's Garland District.
Clock tower is always a classic. Big sellers.
Individual in design and specific in style.
I try to let each piece have its own flavor.
To Bovey, they tell a tale that celebrates Spokane and all of the Inland Northwest.
You know, there's a lot of cool stuff here to celebrate, and so using that style, that nostalgic style of design, I just decided to celebrate everything local.
And now, another local logo will join in on the ranks.
I loved working on this project because it was a challenge, because it was something that had to be outside of the box. And it wasn't just your normal turkey.
Bovey, like so many people throughout the region, has some connection to the annual KREM Cares event of the holiday season, Tom's Turkey Drive.
Growing up here, of course, you know, that was a staple.
KREM 2's Second Harvest and Bovey, a Spokane artist with a strong following, worked to create a logo to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Tom's Turkey Drive.
How did 25 years go by so quickly?
Boiling down 25 years of community, connection, and compassion into just a few words and a design was hard to do.
More than ever, we need to come together to the table.
This year, when you see everything related to Tom's Turkey Drive, either on TV, online, or whether it's in your social media feed or while shopping at Rosar's to feed your family, know that the plate that's set on the design isn't just about the event in that moment, but about the thousands of people you can impact.
Everyone gets it. Everyone believes in Thanksgiving and families being together. Everyone believes that. And that's why I think that's the beauty and magic of Tom's Turkey Drive.
And that plate is more than a symbol. It's about all the kindness and caring that comes from Tom's Turkey Drive. And really, that's what brings us all to the table. Reporting in Spokane, Laura Papetti, KREM 2 News.
Thank you for joining us here on KREM 2 Plus. For the KREM 2 News Weekend Review, remember, you can always watch our latest newscast and weather forecast right here on KREM 2 Plus. Just click on the video in the bottom navigation menu. I'm Tim Pham. Thanks for watching.